Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Nicassio is about to come on and bring the fire of transformation, of marketing, wisdom, and expertise and alchemy. He is an absolute genius. Before that, let's talk about the sponsor message. If you are an entrepreneur, a high achiever, a small business expert, and you are committed to getting your message out to the world in a bigger way, without the distractions, without the overwhelm, simply with a process, to contact me, Chris at beyourgps.com. I'd love to hear about your message, your purpose, and help you achieve that in a bigger way with a podcast or platform that you really love to work with. Chris at beyourgps.com or facebook.com/th3burns. Next up is the iTunes review of the week, and this week it's by Thomas S. Rousseau Jr. Thomas says, Chris brings out the best in all of us. I have listened to several of the podcasts, and I am continuously impressed with Chris's genuine enthusiasm for not just his guests, but for a life worth living. I highly recommend the Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self podcast and suggest you add this to your list of must-listen-to podcasts. Thomas, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. And if you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store, and you can find us like that. Thanks so much in advance. We'd love to hear from you, what you learned, what is most valuable for you, what you feel could be improved, and would love to get that feedback. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe so you get all the latest episodes and updates. Like I said, I'm going to introduce this man, Joe Nicassio, in just a bit. Before that, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, be ready to take notes, and absolutely grow from this interview because it is going to be gold. It's going to be wisdom. It's going to be tactics and strategies and really implementable stuff that can make a difference and will make a difference when you apply it in your business. So let's introduce him and we'll bring him on. Our next guest is absolutely unique. There are many products that tell you how to start your own business, but Joe Nicassio doesn't just tell you how, he mentors you step by step through the process and guarantees you will get results at the cash register. How do I know? Because I hired Joe and he helped me create my first business, and the things I learned from Joe were fundamental precursors in my current business success today. So if you need more than just a coach, and if you're looking for a mentor who can connect the dots for you and hold your hand along the way to success, you'll definitely want Mr. Joe Nicassio as your mentor. So, Joe, are you ready to rock the house, sir?
I was born ready.
He was born ready. I love it. Yes, you absolutely were. You're now live and Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Welcome to the show, and thanks for being here, man.
Cool. Good to be here. And before we get too deep into this whole conversation, is it okay if I just acknowledge you for something?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, you know, I'll give a definition first, and then I'm going to acknowledge you. So, humility is not thinking less of yourself, but it's thinking more of others. And I just want to acknowledge you, Chris, because I think you really embody that, at least in the context of what you do at the show here. You think very highly of yourself, in I think a pretty healthy way. And at the same time, what you do with this show is you shine the spotlight on others, and you give them a chance to really show who their greatest possible self is. You think more of others, you shine the light on them, and let others people see that. And I think that really embodies humility, is like setting your own stuff aside and doing that for other people. And I just wanted to acknowledge you for the amazing work you're doing.
Thank you. I receive that and I own it. Thank you.
Cool.
So let's dive right into the theme of the day, which today is don't die with your music still inside of you. What does that mean for you, Joe?
When you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, you rot. Blue, you're through. And we have a chance in this life to actually do something with this life, or not. And there's a great song, I think it talks about this, called Portrait He Knew by the band Kansas. It's like he had all the mysteries of the universe, and he tried to tell us, but before he could tell us, he died. And what a shame would that be is if you are doing work and you have your unique understanding of the universe, you have your unique understanding of life. I believe we're children of God. I believe that we were born with purpose, and we are given this life to prepare us for the eternities.
Mm.
And it's in this life that the work we do here is something that will ripple, into the future for a long, 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 long time.
Yeah.
And so I think we have an obligation to just do the best we can with this life and not allow ourselves to fall short.
Mm. Mm. That's good, man. I love it. Just absolutely maxing out our potential, our gifts, and our abilities and our skills, because that's what will lead us into a great next life beyond, so to speak, is knowing that we did everything that we could. And
It's called legacy.
yeah,
It's called legacy. What kind of legacy are you going to live? And don't let the record book show that you played at less than the best of you that you could.
mm,
Do the best you can. What a shame to have the record say, "Well, Chris Burns was a good guy, but he played like at a fraction of his true potential." Like that would be a terrible legacy to leave.
yep. To
And the
play
same thing.
all in 110%. This is gold. Joe,
No, you know
tell
what? 100% is good enough.
I love more than enough. You are more than enough. I am more than enough. Not just enough, we're more than enough. So I always go 110, 120%. We like to give extra. So let's talk about who you are, what you stand for, how you serve your clients.
Yeah, I am a stand for people to be self-reliant through entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
I am a stand for people instead of employer reliant.
Yeah.
Uh, um, I'm a stand for people to build their dream as opposed to building someone else's dream. I mean, it's great to contribute to someone else's, but not at the sacrifice of your own.
Mhm.
And so I really am a stand for people to do what they love, share the love, and receive the love in the form of some kind of prosperity and compensation.
That's gold, man. And I love that. It's because when you serve with love, when you show up and you do what you're meant to do, live your purpose, execute those gifts and give those to others and make a difference for others, like we deserve to be rewarded. We deserve to receive appreciation. We deserve to receive value and love in return because we're giving that out to the world.
Yeah, the same size of the hole you give through is the same size of the hole you receive through.
Mm,
And so if you feel like you're not receiving much, then you need to start looking at how can I give more? How can I give more wisely? Maybe you're giving a lot now,
mm,
but you're giving ineffectively. I come back to this metaphor all the time. Human beings are like a light bulb.
mm,
And the problem with a light bulb is the energy scatters in all directions.
mm,
And the energy of a laser beam is exactly the same energy as a light bulb, but it's focused, it's potent, it has impact.
mm.
And so, part of our impact, and I know we're going to talk about this today, is how you promote yourself and how you get the word out about your magic and your expertise. But it all starts like what you put out there comes from inside. Like what
Okay.
you put out there, before you start promoting, make sure your intentions and your everything about you is aligned and focused. Jay Abraham
Mm.
wrote this book, how to take everything you are and get all you want. I'm not saying the title exactly right.
How to get everything you want. What is it? How to I don't know. I know what you're talking about.
But that title to me embodies this idea of, are you going to be the light bulb that's scattering your light in all directions? Or are you going to take all of who you are and divert it into one powerful channel and have the most impact?
Mm,
So before we start promoting who you are, don't promote yourself as that scattered person, but like let's organize you, and then what you put out there will be purified.
yeah, it's gold. So first, people need to get clear on what's the message, what's the specific message before
What's your
doing all.
one thing?
Yeah, one thing.
What's your one thing that you impact people with?
Hmm.
And maybe your one thing is broken into three parts or something like that. But those three parts make up that one thing that's the core.
Hmm.
Chris, what's your one thing?
Right now, it's the 12-hour marathon and helping people launch their podcast.
So you gave me two things.
So
do you see that? Do you see that?
So would it be, both of those are a function of getting people's message out there to the world?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's an umbrella of getting your message out to the world, and the podcast is a way for when people come onto your show, you're helping them get their message out to the world. Um, but even that's like people come on, they're there for an hour and then they're gone. But
Right.
but this new project is to take all the stuff that you've learned,
Yep.
all of that light bulb stuff that you've learned, and organize it in a way to so that other people can kind of duplicate in their own unique way to put their message out to the world.
Hmm.
So I think your one thing is um, share your music, get your
Yeah.
message out to the world.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, so yeah, you want to find your one thing. So where are we going with this, Chris?
So how do people find their one thing? Can we dive into that for a second?
Yeah, and I've got a sequence of questions. It's 9 questions, and if anybody wants a copy of this, um, just send me an email, rapidresults@gmail.com, and I'll send you these questions. But these are the 9 essential questions for building your business model. Like your one thing is actually broken into 9 parts. So the first thing is, who are you and what do you have? That's like the first question.
Hmm.
Who are you and what do you have? You need to be able to answer this as part of your one thing. And then what is it you do regarding that one thing? Like, what's the actual work that you do?
Hmm.
And then who do you help regarding this one thing? Like, this one thing doesn't apply to everybody. Who do you help with this one thing? And then how do you help them? How do you specifically help them do that one thing? And maybe we'll go through these in a minute regarding to your podcast.
Sure.
And then how do they know you and how do you deliver?
Mm.
How do they know you and how do people know about you and your one thing and how do you deliver that one thing? And then how do you interact? Like, how do you share the love regarding that one?
Hmm.
And then who helps you? Like, what team do you have behind you to help deliver that one thing?
Yep.
And then what do you get? Like, what do you get in the form of payment and other kinds of compensation for doing that one thing? And then finally, what do you give to the person that's buying from you when they're buying that one thing from you?
Right.
You want to go through these real quick?
Let's
Just
do it.
so you're doing your one thing is this how many week course?
12-week podcast mastermind.
Okay. So who are you and what do you have? Tell us about what you have regarding this 12-week mastermind.
Yeah, I'm Chris Burns, and I have a 12-week podcast mastermind to help people go from zero to launching their podcast in 90 days or less without the hassle and overwhelm and stress of trying to do it on their own.
Yeah, you're making if you're trying to make it easy for them to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you do? What are you going to be doing during that 12 weeks? What's your role in all of this?
And what I will do is give them the steps and the processes that I've used and perfected with my own 12-hour marathon and podcast, and that I've also, the wisdom that I've picked up with the 500 plus guests that I've interviewed over the last 2 years to give them the best of the best to help them do it as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible.
Okay, cool. Now, who do you help? This isn't for everybody. Who is it for?
No, it's
Who is it
for
for and who isn't it for?
Yeah, so who it is for is small business experts, people who are purpose driven entrepreneurs and want to grow their business and make a bigger impact in the world and leave a big legacy. Who it's not for is people who are comfortable staying where they're at, they're complacent, they are not out to impact the world. They're just about themselves, they're just about the money. Those are not the right people for this program. The people who are committed to making a massive impact and difference are.
And real specifically, you're helping people that want to start a podcast. If
Yeah.
you want to start a podcast, I can help you with that. who you don't help is if you're not interested in starting a podcast, you probably shouldn't be in this program, right?
Right.
Now, how do you help? How are you gonna like? How are you gonna share your gifts
Yeah.
to people that are part of this podcast mastery
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. So how I'll share it is with weekly Zoom video.
So how not
Zoom.
how you share? How do you help? There's
How
a
do I help?
difference.
Okay. So how do I help is through facilitating them going through the processes, the exercises, the worksheets, the different things to get clarity on how to actually launch the podcast. I have a 9-step outline for them to go from no idea what they're doing or like, hey, I'm interested in a podcast, all the way to launching it and strategies to grow it.
And how you help is through the Zoom calls.
Yeah, Zoom video masterminds, 12 weeks of those, and Facebook Live teaching curriculum videos that are about 15 to 20 minutes.
So how you help is a library of videos.
Yep.
How you help is guiding them through worksheets and exercises.
Hmm.
How you help is answering their questions, anything that comes up along the way. Okay, now how do they know you, and how do you deliver? So like, how do they know you, as far like how you transmit your message to them, and then how do you deliver once they sign up?
Yeah. So how they know me is through like how do they find out about me? How do I
Yeah,
market?
and
Yeah.
there's different channels, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the best
Pe-
ones are people who have seen me on the 12-hour marathon. They're already friends with me. The other one is I'm doing Facebook Live, um, adding value, Facebook Lives with other people, joint Facebook Lives, and sharing about the power of podcasting, the power of having your own platform. And then I get to plug my mastermind and the application link at the end. So that's how they find out about me, through other people's networks. I'm getting the message out. And how they sign up was that the next question?
No, how do they know you, and how do you deliver?
Deliver. How do I
How do you
deliver?
deliver the goodies?
Yeah, so I deliver the goodies when they sign up. They get entered into a Facebook group. They'll get all the information on the calls, the weekly Zoom calls, as well as the Facebook Live videos that deliver the content, and then the worksheets will be uploaded to the Facebook group.
Do you also deliver through recordings of those sessions?
Yep.
So they get the recordings. That's important.
Yeah.
So how do you interact? How do you share the love? How do you nurture? How do you care for? How do you use your love, your caring, your nurturing
Yeah.
in the process to help people get this podcasting started?
Yeah, so they're going to be working on weekly assignments, and they're going to talk about them on the weekly mastermind calls. We're going to brainstorm ideas, and then they're going to upload what they're working on and what their results are into the Facebook group so that I can check it, as well as I can facilitate. One of my gifts is facilitating people to interact and engage and support each other and give their feedback. So we're going to have a community of feedback to refine it to the best possible outcome.
So are you only available to them on these 12 calls, or will they get any kind of extra like one-on-one time with you if it's needed?
Yeah. I'm committed to making this a successful like beta case study launch group. So if people need support, I'm happy to give that to them if they need it.
That's an important thing to make sure that people know. You don't
Mm.
want to leave that out.
Yeah.
And who helps you? Who's on your team?
Yeah, so who helps me is my support staff. They are the people who are doing the audio and the video editing for me, putting together the blog post for the 12-hour marathon. So I can share with the members of this mastermind what I've done to make my support staff successful, and work with me and be able to create the systems and the processes so I don't have to do everything, and I can show our members how I've done that if they have questions about it.
And what do you get in the form of payment? And how are you compensated? What do you receive?
Yeah, so for the 90-day program, 12-week program, I get $1,500 paid up front, and so that's about $500 a month, and it's very affordable as a done with you program. There's different levels of programs: do it yourself, done with you, done for you, and the done for you is typically multiple thousands of dollars. Do it with you is typically between $1,000 and $2,000, and then do it yourself is typically under $1,000.
And what do you give? What are you giving in order to get all that?
Yeah, so what I give is the structure of hey, how do you go from not knowing what you want to do or having a vague idea about a podcast and take them through step by step. I hold their hand, make sure that they're materials look good, make sure that the focus and the purpose of the podcast and the vision of it and the goals that they're setting and all of that, it makes sense. And I'm spot checking their work to make sure that they're effectively moving the project forward and getting the best possible result from it. So I have their back. I provide coaching and support, mentorship and guidance, because I've seen what I've done and taken the best of that. And I give that to them in the most distilled fashion to help them succeed.
Are you giving them what to do?
I'm giving them what to do. Yes.
Are you giving them how to do it?
Yes.
Are you giving them all the resources they need?
Yes.
Are you giving them positive and negative feedback?
Yes.
And are you holding them accountable?
Yes.
So what you're really saying is what you're giving them is everything they need to implement.
Yeah.
And have a podcast. So what you're really giving them is a couple things. Number one is, by the time you're through with this program, you will have a podcast on the air with episodes.
Yes.
Professionally done, promoted.
Yep.
And also, I think one of the things that you're giving them is what you wish you had before you started your podcast.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yeah. And what I wish I had was a clear structure of how to promote effectively, how to get great guests on the podcast, and just how to systemize things so I don't feel so overwhelmed and scattered. So I'm going to give them a process to follow, a week by week process, so that they know what they're doing and how to show up and be effective.
Well, let me take you back in time, at a time when you were confused, like, how the heck do I do a podcast? How the heck do I make this thing work? Like, so what you're giving people is the shortcuts and the fast track that you didn't have.
Yeah.
I can see where this is really valuable.
Yeah, definitely.
That's one of the reasons I'm doing it.
Changing people's lives, man.
Yeah. So, like, look, you're gonna. So yeah. So I just wanted to go through that. So, like, you have your gifts to share to the world, and one of the things you're doing, your one thing, is this podcast thing. So your ability to talk about your complete business model by these 9 questions is going to help you transfer to other people, like, this is what my one thing is, like, in 3D, 4D, 5D, whatever, in a complete, it's not a 2D flat image. You're giving them a more richer map of the world, a richer map of what they're going to get and how they're going to be transformed on the other side of this.
Yeah, and it'll also give them whatever they need, that whatever they're looking for, whatever has been the missing link, why they haven't taken action. Maybe it's what they'll get. Maybe they weren't clear. They didn't find anything that resonated with them for what they would get. Maybe it's what I would get compensated. Maybe they didn't find anything that was a fair deal and a fair price. So it's like, I give them, hey, here's how it'll be a great program for you. Here's another reason why. Here's like the benefits, and it's just whatever emotionally and logically they buy into because of their specific view of the world and how they see things. Then I'm able to provide that.
Cool. So why don't you bring it back around now that we've done this exercise with you? What's coming up for you, and what do you want to talk about next?
Yeah, so the big thing that came up for me is why I really started the podcast mastermind, is because I saw so many guests like yourself who had great energy, great wisdom, great value to bring to the world. And I said, it's a travesty that these people don't have a stronger presence and an impact in the world, a bigger difference, a bigger legacy. And I found for me that my legacy is being created because of this podcast. I'm 27 years old. I've already interviewed 500 plus people in the last 2 years, right? And I've built my network. I've expanded myself. And I saw guests going out and starting their own podcasts. And I knew some of them weren't getting very good results because they didn't follow a proven process, because they were doing it on their own. They were winging it. And I said, man, if there's people out there starting, it breaks my heart that they're not getting the results that they want. And some of them were quitting after 3 months, 6 months. And I'm like, why are you going to start a podcast if you're going to quit? Why are you going to put all this energy and effort in up front if you're not going to stick with it. And I said, you know what the best way to do to continue them going and give them the highest chance of success is to give them my system and what I've done to be able to make that difference. So that's why I started the mastermind, to get people results and have them succeed in podcasting rather than give it a shot and then say, oh, this is too difficult. It's too unclear. It's too fuzzy. I don't feel like I'm getting the results. I wanted to be the person who holds their hand and lets them know, hey, it's worth it when you stick it out, when you put in the work up front.
And it's so much easier when you have a crystal clear roadmap.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So let's zoom out a little bit away from podcasts.
Okay.
And talk about, I mean, the whole idea here, one of my jokes about talking about myself in the past is I'm very rapidly moving from local obscurity to national obscurity. And before you know it, I'll have global obscurity and maybe even intergalactic obscurity. But I think with the podcast, it's a real chance for me to go from local obscurity to actually well known.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to get well known, to other ways to promote your message. And I actually prepared a slide. Is it possible for you to pull that slide up?
Yep, I can do it right now. And all right, it's now up.
Yeah. So the first thing we want to start looking at is, where is the leverage? As much as a podcast is great, and as much as being on social media is great and all that, the truth is, the most effective place that we can persuade somebody and make money is not through a podcast, but through a direct one-on-one conversation where you're actually closing a sale.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to have a sales force, and even if it's just you. You need to be able to talk to human beings, close the deal, and get paid.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, I would actually be really hesitant to do a podcast. Like, that's something you need to learn first.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
then all you're doing, there's traffic and conversion. If you drive 1 million people to your website, 1 million people schedule appointments with you, and you can't close the sale, all you've done is wasted a bunch of time.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all that energy you put to getting those people in front of you. It's like money down the drain.
Yeah.
So the highest you can connect with somebody is having a conversion conversation, or it's not like we're trying to sell people. We're actually trying to get hired.
Yeah.
We're here to get hired, by improving the client's life. So there is huge leverage in face-to-face selling. But the problem is, there's only so much of us to go around. So the second method here is having quality literature. By the way, the stuff I'm showing you comes from research from McGraw-Hill.
Yeah.
Everything except for the last bullet point, because when they did this, podcasts didn't exist.
Right.
Okay. So, there is a lot of leverage in being able to talk to people one-on-one. But if you can take your story and you can put it on one piece of paper, front and back, and you can hand it to somebody, and somebody can read that piece of paper and get excited about your program, there's a lot of leverage in that. Because if you're doing everything one-on-one, talking to people, and then you have to talk to another person one-on-one and tell the whole story over again, and then you talk to another person, it's exhausting, and there's only so much around. So having quality literature, one piece of paper that can help you sell, it's like salesmanship in print.
Yeah.
And low tech effective is better than high tech ineffective. Now, the way I created my literature is I put a lot of energy into my website. And then when it was time to create that piece of literature, the work was done on the website. So in a way, my literature is website on paper. Now, why print it on paper if you've got a website? You know why? Because if I talk to somebody and say, go check out my website, it might not be happening, because that URL is intangible. You can't touch a URL.
Right.
But if I hand you a piece of paper and it tells you the whole story, you don't need a computer, you don't need technology, and it's tangible. You have to hold on to it, you have to touch it. And there's something that makes it even more real when you touch it. Okay? So I have a saying, low tech effective is better than high tech ineffective.
Yep.
I remember we used to do trade shows and we would give out CD-ROMs to people that would tell the story of the company. And the problem is those CD-ROMs, it had to go from the trade show booth into the hands of the person. And
Mhm.
then once you got it in the hands of that person, that CD would end up in a bag. And
Mhm.
then you had to hope that that bag didn't get lost at the trade show, and then it had to make its way to the car. And then once it made its way to the car, it had to survive the car ride
Yep.
and not get thrown in the trash. And then it had to actually make its way, home in front of your computer, and then it needs to make its way from the bag or whatever into the computer,
Mhm.
into your eyeballs, all this time where you have like a lot of distractions going on in your life.
Yeah.
So there was a big problem with by handing out CD-ROMs. You had all this technology that there were too many obstacles and things that could go wrong along the way.
Mm.
Now you can do that with the internet. You can just send a link and they can click on it. Hopefully that link gets clicked and they can do that. But if I hand you a piece of paper that tells the whole story, there's no technology in the way. It's your eyeballs can directly access it without any technology at all. And we shouldn't discount that kind of promotion.
Mm.
The third thing that we got is advertising. You can advertise strategically. You can put your message in front of the right people at the right time. If you're targeting electrical engineers, there is an IEEE mailing list.
Yep.
And there is IEEE magazines. There are things that those people read, and it would be a lot easier to put your message right in front of the things that they're already consuming. Through advertising, you can place your message where your people are at. I
Yeah.
just used that one. I pulled that out of thin air. But advertising can be powerful because you get to completely control the message and you buy the space. It's like buying a piece of real estate. The question is, when you buy a piece of real estate, you can put a shack on that real estate or you can build a mansion. What's the quality of the advertising message you put out is going to really directly impact the quality of the response you get.
Yeah.
But the truth is it's a great way, and fast growing companies have used advertising, and you shouldn't neglect it. And then the fourth thing that's on the list there is publicity. We say advertising is what you pay for, PR is what you pray for.
Mm.
How beautiful is it that not only do you have a product or service, but you can turn it into a newsworthy story. If you get picked up by USA Today, Chris Burns has this great class on helping people start the podcast. If Oprah Winfrey talks about Chris Burns and how great his curriculum is and how all these people are graduating from the course with their podcast in action.
Mm-hmm.
So advertising is what you pay for. PR is what you pray for.
Mm.
Getting featured as a story in magazines, newspapers, radio, television.
Yeah.
And what's really powerful about that is it gives you a lot of credibility, as seen on Oprah, as seen in Entrepreneur Magazine, as seen in Forbes, as seen in the Huffington Post.
Mm.
This gives us credibility. It credentializes us and makes us have more authority.
Mm.
And so we shouldn't neglect that. As seen on, your GPS.
Yep.
Okay. So even people that are on your show, what's the name of your show?
Becoming your greatest possible self.
Yeah, as seen on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. You could actually give people a logo for that, Chris, and they could put it on their website, as seen on Your Greatest Possible Self.
Boom.
Was that a new one for you?
I've definitely thought about it before. Just typically what we would do is give them the image. Give our guests the image of their appearance, and they could use the image of them on it. But the logo could also be a benefit too.
As seen on ABC, NBC, USA Today, and Becoming Your Greatest GPS or Your Greatest Possible Self.
Yes, sir.
And then you can use direct mail. It used to be we had all this mail in our mailbox, and we were like, somebody please send me an email. Mm-hmm. Now our email boxes are overfilling, and our direct mail is small. And so inviting people, sending people a postcard with an invitation, to find out about your program is another way to get the word out. But it costs money. It doesn't cost a lot. I know this is if you had a daughter and she was getting married, you would not want to send out email invitations to the wedding. You would want to send engraved, the nicest things that you can say because it's a keepsake also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so direct mail, salesman in an envelope. It's really powerful and it shouldn't be neglected because just like the flyer, having quality literature is tangible, so is direct mail. They have to touch it.
Mm.
And it can be really powerful, especially if you send out what's called lumpy mail. Lumpy mail is like sending the mail with a coin. And why did I send you this quarter? Because a quarter of your time is, because a quarter of your time is only a quarter of your time is effective. And I want to teach you how to be more effective. When you receive your mail and there's something lumpy in there, it gets your attention.
Yep.
And then we've got events and parties, trade shows, any kind of live opportunity. Again, this is a great way for you to take your message and connect it out to the world. Is bringing people together. Maybe it's a trade show. Maybe it's a lunch and learn. Maybe you do a one-day train. That's one of the things I've been doing. Is I started doing one day. I have this new seminar, Back to Basics in Business Intensive. Okay, I just did one. It was an 8-hour day. And if anybody out there wants me to come and speak to their group, we charge a flat fee. It's a 50-50 partnership, and it's a way to bring people together and add just a ton of value. But any way that you can get together with people face to face can be really powerful. I think every business, Chris, this is an idea for you, to ponder is, and I know how important gratitude is to you. But I think every year, right around Thanksgiving, or it could be in the summer, a customer appreciation dinner or a customer appreciation barbecue in the park, where all of your clients, people that have spent money with you, are invited, and they can bring along their friends. And it doesn't cost a lot of money to burn up some hot dogs and hamburgers and feed people, but still, or cook a turkey for around Gratitude Day, Thanksgiving Day. To say thank you, I appreciate you, and but it's a way for people to gather face to face, and there's something super super powerful about that.
Yep.
And then finally, before we get to podcasts, is the internet is the world's cheapest printing press, and there's ups and downs about that because anybody there's billions of web pages out there, and so in some ways. It's like finding your website is like finding a home in the desert without any roads. It's like you have to build the roads to that website. And so all these other things that you do, whether it's Salesforce, literature, advertising, publicity, direct mail, events, can drive people to your website. I don't think the website should be a thing that stands on its own. All of your marketing efforts should point to that resource. And then we get to this thing called podcasts. And podcasts, there's a tremendous amount of leverage. And I think we should really commit some of the conversation here to why podcasts. If you get this right, I think it's a chance for you to share your expertise and your personality.
Yeah.
It's a chance for people. Like when people listen to Greatest Possible Self podcast, like they're getting to know Chris Burns and the questions he asks and the guests that he invites onto his show. And so when they get a flavor for who you are and they like who you are, there's a really good chance that some of those people are going to say, you know what, I like this guy, I want to work with him. Yeah. Okay. And podcasts have a reach, and maybe you can speak into the reach thing about podcasts better than me, but like what happens now, there are a lot of podcasts, so when you go into the iTunes store, there's probably thousands of podcasts inside.
Well, actually it's I was just looking at statistics. There's over 660,000 podcasts that are out, and I remember that there was over 51% of the United States, the U.S. population, had listened to a podcast before. So I think that's around 140 something million people who have actually listened to a podcast. On average, each podcast listener listens to about 7 a week, 7 different shows a week. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity to go in there and become someone's new favorite.
Yeah, and you want to attract your tribe. You want to
Yeah.
attract the people that are interested in you. Maybe you could speak in, because I think this is maybe a challenge. Is there, there's 600,000 podcast shows going on.
Yeah.
How, um, but and yet, so there are people that follow you through Facebook.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about how podcasts have, and maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. You got the answer to this, but
Mhm.
so you have an audience on Facebook. You do your show on Wednesdays on Facebook, and then you chop up the things into episodes,
Yep.
and then you put them in the podcast store.
Yep.
Is it the same people on Facebook that are downloading your podcast, or is this opening a door of new
New people.
relationships?
Definitely.
Tell
So
me, talk about that.
yeah, Facebook has its own audience, and some of the people who tune into the 12-hour marathon have said, Chris, I love watching your 12-hour marathon. It's awesome. And sometimes I'm not able to get to all of the content. So how can I really get access to it? And then that's why I created the podcast, because I knew not everyone could make it for all 12 hours, and I wanted to deliver the gold in a way where they could consume it. So after I launched the podcast, now they have a subscription-based way where all they have to do is log in and sign in somewhere, or look in their email, or look for the updates on the RSS feed or on iTunes, wherever their distribution channel and platform is. They can just check in there and get the latest stuff delivered right to them. So it's definitely different audiences. For me, I have a blog, a WordPress blog, pretty simple to maintain, and that gets me SEO exposure as well. Search engine optimization, people searching on Google for their problems and challenges and looking for inspiration, looking for how to become your greatest possible self, whatever it might be. And then they find my podcast as a source, as a resource to be able to grow in that area and solve that problem.
So I want to just cut to the chase. So, do you have people that found you on iTunes that never heard about you on Facebook and then turned out to maybe set up strategy sessions or even hire you?
Let's see. I know, yes, people have joined my mastermind that I'm running right now, because I have a podcast mastermind, and then before that I was running just a general business and life mastermind for success, and he found me through podcasts. So that's like, yeah, absolutely.
And besides customers, what other opportunities have opened up for you as a result of your podcast?
Man, I've gotten to speak. I was a panelist at one event last year, actually 2 events, and then I was also a speaker at another event, because I met people, I was on stage, whatever it might be, and that opened up doors to getting my message out there more and impacting and serving more people as well.
Okay, well, let me summarize this for people, because, like, I think a lot of people they have a lot of talent, and yet they're frustrated because they have a great message, yet they feel a little bit invisible. They have a great message, and they have a small audience, and they have a great message, and yet they're still struggling in their business because not enough
Mm.
people know about them. And so a lot of people are walking on eggshells financially, thinking, "Hey, I'm not making money in this business." So,
Mm.
um, you know, one way to get a lot of exposure, one of the ways to go from invisible to visible,
Yeah.
one of the ways to become known for your personality and the conversations you have, your way of thinking. One of the ways to put out your best stuff and have people start thinking favorably for you, so doors open and customers come,
Yeah.
is starting your podcast.
That's right.
You are your own best case study because you've done it yourself.
Mm.
And you've gone through all the question marks and the riddles and the enigma and the mystery, and you've unraveled this stuff and you put it into a 12-week course.
Yep.
And I think one of the things that you're saying is that if people go through this 12-week course, you can promise them, as long as they do their part, at the end of 12 weeks, they will have a podcast. It'll be up and running. It'll be in the iTunes store, and
Yep.
they will be able to promote themselves and start creating a following.
Yes.
Right? And
Definitely.
so, um, and you've laid out, like, you've got a structured program for 12 weeks. Every week, they're like building blocks to help you build this building and
Yep.
promote this building so that it's done, right?
Yep.
And so, logistically, it's pretty simple. Sign up for the program, pay Chris $1,500, show up for 12 weeks, make a commitment. Don't just make a commitment to Chris, make a commitment to yourself.
Yeah.
And not because Chris is worth it, do it because you're worth it. Your message is important. You have greatness within you, and it's your time for you to show up and get that message out to the world. And if you're feeling invisible now, I promise you, when you go through Chris's course and you do the work, you don't have to be top secret anymore. You can start to get your message out to the world.
Yeah.
And so don't do it because Chris is worth it. Chris is worth it, but don't do it because Chris. Don't do it because I'm worth it. I am worth it. Do it because you're worth it.
Mm.
This is a chance to change your life for the better, to improve your life, to improve your business, to improve your authority, and go from unknown to well known. This is a starting piece that can put you on that path. So, yeah, there's a cost to doing this program, but there's also a cost to not doing it.
That's right.
It's expensive to stay invisible.
It's frustrating. Okay. It's exhausting. I've done it.
So, how do people sign up for this program, Chris? How do they, what's the next step for them?
Yeah, it's simple. Just go to beyourgps.com/podcast mastermind, and you'll fill out a quick application and just show us you're serious. Show us you really want to consider this. I can tell you more about the process, so to speak, and the logistics of getting started, and we'll see if it's a good fit. It may be, may not be. The only way to find out if it is a good fit is to fill out the application, and I could share more about the community and the mastermind and logistics of showing up.
So there's no cost to filling out the application, correct?
Correct.
And from that's going to lead to a conversation.
Yep.
And if it's not right for somebody, are you still going to ask them for their money?
No.
Yeah. So you have nothing to lose. Yeah. So if you really want to get your message out there, if you really want to be a podcaster, if you really want to get your message to the world and you want to do it the right way, if you don't want to go through the learning curve Chris did, then you need to sign up for this now. So I want to encourage you to act now while it's fresh on your mind. What's the link again, Chris?
beyourgps.com/podcast mastermind.
Yeah. So I think this is a powerful opportunity for people. I'm doing it. Yep. You should too.
Yep.
Chris has already done this for himself. He's done it for Petya.
Yep.
He's doing it with me. Here's the real question. Will you be next? Are you going to keep doing things the old way, or is it time for you to actually make a change? And I want to challenge you, if you're listening to this, get a little uncomfortable. Yeah, it's going to take a little money. Yeah, it's going to take a little work. But the payoff, what's the payoff, Chris?
The payoff is... Yeah, the payoff is going from wishing you were living your purpose in a bigger way to knowing you're living your purpose, knowing you're making an impact, getting excited to jump out of bed because your message is making the difference in people's lives.
There you have it. Now, I'm excited. I'm excited to go through the program, and I'm just excited to, I'm excited because Employee Escape Plan, I just know every Monday there's millions of people jumping in their car going to a job that they don't want to go to.
Yep.
And it's actually kind of a shame that more people are not taking advantage of my program. It's a shame that the biggest reason more people aren't taking advantage of it, they don't even know it exists. It is a great program. The people that go through it have a great experience. The people that go through it, they do send some referrals my way. The
Yeah.
people that go through it, they give video testimonials. The people that go through it actually start making more money. But I still feel in my heart that my impact is much smaller than it could be.
Hmm.
And I don't, I want to make a bigger difference. I know that, it's entirely possible you could be in a business right now. Um, and maybe you're in a spot where you've already started your business and you need some more support. If that's the case, I can help you.
Hmm. What do you see
Okay.
the podcast doing for you and your business? What are you most excited about?
My biggest challenge in my business has been exposure. Just simply, not enough people know about me.
Hmm.
So I am certain that if more people know about me, then more people will buy from me because I solve $100,000 problem. I should be charging 10,000, but
Hmm.
I have a 5,000 and a $3,000 version. So, um, if you want to make 100,000 a year, eventually, the thing is you want to start your business right. And I don't promise people are going to make 100,000 out the gate. That's up, the 100,000's up to you.
Right.
But I can help you put your fundamentals in place, and I can help you to get your cash register start to ring and build a business built on solid structures.
Hmm.
So as more people become aware, more people are going to buy, and I'm going to have more impact. And I'm going to, some of the best phone calls I get are like Brandon, one of my clients, called me the other day. Says, Joe, I just made my first sale on the business you helped me create.
Hmm.
Do you have no idea how that
That's
makes me
amazing.
feel?
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
And then I got a call from you, Chris, because when I started working with you, Chris, you had a soul sucking
Yep.
job. And, we were able to, you gave me the call and said, Joe, I'm making enough money now that I can walk away from my soul sucking job. Now I know it wasn't easy, and there were some other hurdles to go along the way, but you were able to start your own business. You've been through a lot of trainings, and you weren't starting your own business, and
Right.
your first business and your ability to walk away from a job that wasn't filling you up, I know is a result of employee escape plan. And I like those phone calls. I want more of those phone calls. I want more people to stop working for the man and be the man. I want more people to be more self reliant instead of employer reliant. Because in my heart, I don't believe that all employers have your best interest at heart. Some do.
Hmm.
And so I just want to empower more people to take charge of their life. And I honestly, in my heart, believe that a podcast is something that will help overcome that challenge of not enough exposure. It's a great way to get the exposure that'll help take my program to the next
Yeah.
level.
Who do you think are going to be the people who, like, I don't want to say flock to the podcast, but are most magnetized to the podcast and want to tune in and keep getting that value that you're delivering?
Well, I think there's three groups of people. I think it's the people that, number one, they're already in business, they want to improve.
Uh-huh.
They want to get to outside the struggle. They've started the business and they need some support. Number two is the people that just don't know what to do. I mean, having conversations about people that are, having conversations about the topics about creating a business and getting it started the right way. People that dream of having that business but haven't pulled the trigger will be listening to it. And then there's even a third group of people that already have a job. They're in a company and they want to stay in the company, but they're going to find that the things that I share will help them improve
Mm.
their performance with their marketing, etc.
Yeah.
So I think those are the three groups. And one of the things in terms of format is I'm looking at episodes that are typically 5 minutes or less.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's going to be a 3 to 5 minute podcast. It's going to be 3 to 5 minutes of powerful stuff, maybe 6 or 7 minutes on certain episodes, but they're going to be short, potent things that are useful, that can demonstrate my authority. Um, and, you know, those pieces will be powerful and people will use those pieces. But some are going to say, you know what, I don't just need all these little pieces Joe's giving me. I need the whole system.
Yeah.
And those people that want the whole system are going to be the ones that end up hiring me.
Mm.
And we're going to create that business together.
Beautiful, man.
I think it's exciting.
Absolutely, it is. It is,
It's
man.
exciting for me It's exciting for you because you get to transfer your knowledge to me and the rest of the members of the group. It's
Yep.
also exciting for you because if you have 10 people go through or 8 people go through this program, you get to create 8 new podcast success stories.
Yep. Yep.
You get to create. You're the person that germinates uh, uh, these new success stories.
Yeah.
I say that, do you know how for every pearl that's formed inside of an oyster, there's a little seed, there's a little grain of sand. It's the irritant.
Yep.
That's my job. I'm your little irritant. That's your little job. You get to be the irritant that helps people become podcast pearls.
Yep. Yep.
And you get to cultivate and nurture the next new breed of podcasters. And again, the challenge I want to have to anybody that's watching or listening to this is, will you be next?
It's good, man. I love it. I love it. So, any final thoughts, or do you want to just share how they can stay connected with you, how they can get in contact with you?
Yeah, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. And if you have not been getting enough exposure, then you need to change and do something different. Give podcasts serious consideration and get on a phone conversation with Chris. As far as me, if there's, I showed some other marketing things about quality literature, Salesforce, advertising. If you have other marketing needs, you want to develop your marketing, I want to just invite you to reach out to me. Go to employeeescapeplan.com, and I want to just invite you to a connection call. Let's have a conversation. It's not going to cost you anything to talk, and let's see if you're ready to launch that business or take your business to the next level. I love doing that work. There isn't a business, 99% of the businesses I look at, I can find hidden opportunities to get your business to grow that you are overlooking.
Yep.
What's common knowledge to me is profound revelation to people that don't have it. Let me look at your business and see if there's ways we can grow it. I'm certain we can find ways. And the cost of coaching and consultation with me is very small compared to the new residual money that you're going to find in growing your business. So employeeescapeplan.com, schedule a connection call. Let's get this thing going.
Absolutely. Joe Nicassio, you are the man. Everyone, definitely connect with this guy, employeeescapeplan.com. Keep following him because he's always putting out gold and wisdom. And Joe, thank you for being who you are, awakening my potential, my perspective of what's possible. And I'm really grateful to be on the journey with you, man.
Well, thank you for thanking me. I appreciate being appreciated.
I love it, man. Have the best day ever. We'll see you soon.
Take care.